Hi, this is Noemi from the Global Logistic Cluster Support Team here in HQ in Rome. I would like to start with a question. What is IAM? We hear from partners and colleagues referring to information management, but what does information management really imply in terms of helping organizations achieving their goals and efficiently managing their available data? The purpose of information management is to design, develop, manage, and use information with insight, innovation to support decision-making and advocacy efforts. In logistic emergency responses, there is a critical need to collect reliable and timely data and support operational decision in the field. The central role of the logistic cluster is to act as a liaison between humanitarian actors where logistic operations are concerned, to streamline activities, avoid duplication of efforts, and ensure the optimal use of resources. But let's meet the team on the ground.
Hi everyone, my name is Gemma Pietros. I'm the Information Management Officer for the Logistics Cluster Ukraine Response.
I'm Danny German. I'm with UNFPA's Humanitarian Office, working on humanitarian logistics and supply chain.
What we're going to be talking about in this really short interview is a little bit around information sharing, particularly in the first few days of an operation. There are a range of different information management products that the Logistics Cluster shares, from meeting minutes, concept of operations, situation updates, GIS products like maps, and then we also obviously establish different ways of sharing that information from list, dedicated webpage and WhatsApp groups. And in the initial days of the response, we had WhatsApp groups for Ukraine as well as neighbouring countries like Poland and Romania. Cool, so Danny, just to get started, when did you arrive in Poland for the Ukraine response?
So I arrived in Poland in the beginning of March.
What sort of challenges did you face in terms of kind of gathering and absorbing information related to logistics and supply chain in those first couple of weeks?
I think the challenge was that you had a lot of actors who were operating in Ukraine before the war, who were having to kind of change everything about what they were doing. And then you had a whole host of new actors coming in, changing government regulations, changing infrastructure availability and lack of service providers. You had all of a sudden to learn about the requirements in EU member state countries like Poland, which we never really had to work with before. A lot of recent humanitarian responses that the community has been involved in, there was already a pre-existing, let's say, humanitarian infrastructure in place. And in general, people had a better understanding around what is the cluster system even, and what is a humanitarian importation exemption. And I think that in this case, there was a higher likelihood that national actors or national offices of international actors wouldn't have even known that they should have engaged in that discussion. And when I was first deployed, part of my function was actually partially to support the logs cluster with some of my time to help make sure that the medical logistics piece was also coming out in the information availability and sharing around customs and transporters availability and storage requirements and things like this.
Yeah, and I suppose to provide some context to those in the room, we do have close to 100 emails now on that medical logistics mailing list. It's definitely been an area of interest that has sustained up until this point as we're kind of moving into the fourth month of the response. I think we've had around 6 meetings so far. These will move slowly more into an ad hoc basis, but I think that has provided a really great kind of mechanism and focused area where people can ask these questions and gain insights from colleagues who are facing really similar challenges to them.
And also to provide best practices, right? Because I think one of the other pieces is that, a lot of partners were experiencing issues around importation of narcotics, and WHO developed an SOP around how you do that, and you share that with partners. With UNFPA, we did the same thing. We did importation of vehicles for medical use, like mobile clinics. So we developed the SOP and we uploaded it to the Log Cluster website. And so there's also that information sharing piece, which is also available through that kind of mechanism, which is super important.
Thank you.
En tant qu'IAM sur le terrain, tu joues un rôle essentiel dès les premiers instants de l'urgence, puisque tous les partenaires humanitaires comptent sur toi pour fournir des informations pertinentes qui sont essentielles pour coordonner l'aspect logistique de la réponse et pour prendre des bonnes décisions, des décisions éclairées. Durant la réponse au tremblement de terre en Haïti en 2021, le secteur logistique dirigé par la Protection civile haïtienne, DGPC, et co-dirigé par le PAM, avec un support de l'équipe HQ AWOM et d'un coordonnateur logistique déployé dans le pays, ont mis en place un mécanisme de coordination d'urgence. La coordination dans les régions affectées a aussi été mise en place plus tard grâce au déploiement d'un officier AM de HQ. À travers tous ces canaux de coordination, des informations telles que les contraintes d'accès physique, les lacunes logistiques ainsi que les services logistiques disponibles qui permettaient de livrer l'aide humanitaire dans les régions affectées étaient partagées et enregistrées sous des formats facilement accessibles, comme par exemple la plateforme interactive Logai ou des documents tels que cartes, SOP, compte rendu de réunion, etc. Ils pouvaient être consultés à tout moment par les partenaires sur le site web du cluster logistique. Mais le plus important, ce n'est pas le nombre de documents publiés, mais l'importance et l'accès à temps à ces informations. Comment ces informations ont aidé de manière effective la communauté humanitaire. Le directeur des opérations de la DGPC, M. Emmanuel Pierre, partage avec nous la différence que cela a fait durant cette réponse d'urgence.
J'ai eu à coordonner, orienter toutes les opérations de réponse au tremblement de terre du 14 août 2021 dans la péninsule du Sud. Ceux-là qui s'occupaient de la logistique était vraiment important pour nous et surtout en matière de la gestion de l'information. Surtout, par exemple, je prends les informations concernant les zones d'accès, les zones qui sont difficiles d'accès ou faciles d'accès. L'exemple du pont de la Grand'Anse, par exemple, où facilement les informations relayées par le secteur logistique nous ont permis de pouvoir réorganiser la réponse dans cette région par d'autres voies, soit la voie aérienne ou la voie maritime. Des informations quantitatives sur l'aide humanitaire fournie et surtout les convois, les 52 convois et plus qu'on avait eu, le secteur logistique a pu drainer ces informations sur les produits envoyés, les institutions qui ont participé au convoi et ce qui a permis au Centre d'opération de l'Urgence nationale d'avoir des informations assez importantes quant à l'organisation proprement dite de la réponse. Je pense que ce support fourni par le secteur logistique était inconditionnel en matière de gestion de l'information, ce qui a permis vraiment au Centre d'opération d'urgence de pouvoir organiser et réorganiser la réponse. Et nous espérons de bonnes collaborations dans le futur en matière de gestion des événements et surtout du secteur logistique.
I'm here in the Logistics Cluster Hub in Malakal, one of the 6 hubs in South Sudan. In this incredibly challenging logistics context, it's important to make sure that our partners have access to all the information they need. This includes information about the logistics cluster services, such as what is available to them, road transport, river transport, air transport, storage, but also making sure that they understand the procedures on how to access these services. And we also make sure they have all the information they need for their operational planning, such as physical access constraints maps to understand which locations they can access by road. It is my job to make sure that I understand the challenges on the ground and translate them into information management products on a national level. This can be very difficult because partners on the ground don't always have access to good internet, or maybe they're just too busy running their operation. So it is about making sure that the teams here, they talk with the partners on the ground, they talk to them in the warehouse, in the corridor, and understand their challenges. And then they can feed that back to me and I can help making information management products to make sure that each partner is supported and we work together as a humanitarian community to reach those people in need here in South Sudan.
So we're here at Addis Ababa International Airport, where the logistic cluster is facilitating access to airlift services for the humanitarian community. We're airlifting cargo from Addis Ababa to Mekele. Due to the limited amount of resources available for airlifts, the ICCG identified 5 sectors to prioritize for airlift services to the logistic cluster. And from an IM perspective, we are collecting information and up-to-date data on the pipeline of cargo per sectors, as well as reporting daily on air operations in order to ensure a proper rollout of this prioritization mechanism.
Cluster logistics is feeding us information uninterruptedly. Now, using that information available on SOP, we came with our responsibilities such as bringing documents and our products. And cluster logistics is not only supporting us in information, in addition logistically such as storage, vehicle support, and supporting us. And thank you very much, Cluster Logistics.
One of my responsibilities as an information management officer is to ensure a timely shared information. Whether it is a video, an action plan, or a report, it has to be shared and published in a relevant moment, and this is very important for the effective engagement of our partners. We put a lot of effort in communications to promote our preparedness activities. Whether it is a logistics response team training like the one we did in Ecuador, or a sub-regional workshop like the one in Medellin, Colombia, we produce videos, blog posts, and press release to promote engagement and visibility of those activities. We organized 7 workshops and training with more than 250 participants and 150 organization supporters. We are extremely glad of the response we are receiving from our national partners because of their really good mood for collaboration when they are participating in our activities. And also I would like to thank you very much, the Global Logistics Cluster headquarters, for all the support we received from them, which definitely help us achieve our goals.